Hi everyone, I'm Anita. Welcome back to my channel. And I'm a QHHT practitioner and I specialize in past life regression. On our channel, we talk about everything in the hypnosis world, and I love to share stories with you and all types of things that are going on, tips and tricks. And today I have a wonderful story that happened with a client about a year ago. And I wanted to share it with you guys because it really shows how working together to communicate in relationships is really, really important. And often, I believe we conjure up ideas about what somebody else is thinking or what somebody else is believing is going on in a relationship. And I don't think we all always confirm those feelings that we have. And we don't really take time to sit down with the other person and truly understand where you both are at. Um, so this was a really wonderful example about assumptions in a marriage. And I think this is a great story because it has a beautiful ending. So I had a client named Rose. Of course, we're giving her the name Rose for anonymity. And she had come to see me about a year ago, and she was really upset. And she had had a 20-year marriage, and she was not doing well in that marriage. She said it was very toxic, and she wanted a divorce right away. Like she was heading after the session, basically her next mission was she was going to a divorce lawyer and she was going to set the proceedings for divorce. So she wanted to come to for hypnosis, just some on advice as where to find a lawyer, stuff like that, but she was very adamant that the relationship was over. So Rose explained to me her husband was Joe, and Rose explained to me that Joe yelled a lot. He was always yelling, and they were always arguing, and it was a very toxic relationship. They never got along. They constantly debated on everything, and there was just no cohesion in the relationship. Rose also opened up to me and indicated there was no physical relationship. So there was no hugging, there was no kissing, there was absolutely no intimacy whatsoever. And Rose basically said to me that after marrying Joe 20 years ago, she believes that she made the biggest mistake of her life. That's a big statement. 20 years is a long time, and for someone to have a relationship and to feel that upset and that down, that's a very serious calling for me as a practitioner. It was really important for me as a practitioner to help Rose to get to the root of this relationship. Um, so basically, after going through the interview process of 2 hours and going through the relationship and Rose's challenges, we went into hypnosis. And this is what Rose's higher self or her subconscious told her in her trance. Higher self said that Joe yells a lot because he's very nervous and very fearful that Rose doesn't love him. Rose stopped having intimacy with Joe, and she used this as a punishment because of his yelling. So she stopped all physical communication with Joe, thinking that this was a great idea in, making him stop yelling at her. But she never communicated that to him. This was just something she decided in her own mind without having a conversation, without telling Joe what she was doing. She just decided to withhold intimacy as punishment for the yelling. So this makes Joe really, really upset because he became even more and more fearful, not understanding why there was no intimate relationship in their marriage. So this actually made Joe even crazier with more anxiety and more nervousness because he basically didn't think that Rose loved him anymore. And this really scared him and really scared. He loved her very deeply and he was very scared about where the marriage would go. So Higher Self also told Rose that if she engaged in hugging and kissing and holding hands when they went out and showing her physical affection, that this would help Joe understand that she does still indeed love him. Joe didn't get a lot of love as a child, and so he has a very hard time understanding and processing love. So he doesn't really understand it without the physical connotation connected to it. So when he didn't see that he was receiving any physical love, he just basically started shutting down and getting very, very fearful, which caused the yelling. So if Higher Self also told Rose that if she communicated more with Joe, showed her intimate love, and gave him physical touch and love, that this would really calm Joe down. This would soothe him, and this would actually stop him from yelling. And he would feel much more safe and secure in the relationship. So Rose also complained that Joe was controlling her with money, and that he would find ways to control her and stop her, or she could only go so far because she was lacking funds, and that she really resented the fact that he was controlling her with money. So her higher self, her subconscious in trance, told her that Joe has no problem giving Rose money. He's happy to give Rose money. He will give her whatever she wants. And he also understands that her independence and her freedom are very important. And he doesn't want her to feel that she is fully reliant on him for money. But what Higher Self told Rose was that Rose's attitude towards money, in always feeling that she's independent and she must pay for everything and she must provide for herself, was really a big issue with Joe. And Joe felt that this independence really separated them in the marriage, because she never thought as a team. She never thought as a married person in the relationship and talk about financial issues together and work out plans together, whatever it takes for them to both feel comfortable and figure out their finances. So Joe always felt that he was ostracized by Rose, because Rose was always on an independent streak. And this too, her behavior, separated them and separated her marriage. So Higher Self told Rose that she should consider working as a team and being a part of a team member in her marriage, as opposed to working independently. So this was all very fascinating information for me, because I always expect that, someone is, there's no blame on the person who wants to get out of a marriage. And I listened very closely, because what was extraordinary was that Rose's higher self was actually giving her a very different picture, a very different perspective of her behavior and how it was affecting the marriage. So Rose woke up with a completely new understanding. She said to me that she had felt an unconditional, deep love coming from Joe in the marriage that she had never really truly encapsulated before in the relationship. And she said to me, she really understood how much Joe loved her and how he was working so hard to keep their marriage. But he was also working so hard to keep her happy. And she was really the obstacle in the marriage. It wasn't Joe, it was her. So Rose woke up with this new understanding. She felt a beautiful unconditional love from Joe. Higher Self had also told Rose through the process that they were meant to be, that they were always meant for each other. They were soulmates. They had marriages in past lives and they did very well together. And Higher Self also told Rose that they were meant to live the rest of their lives together, and they would have a beautiful, happy life if she stayed in the marriage, and that Joe was really meant for her as she was meant for Joe. And so she woke up and she said to me, Anita, I've made a big mistake. I've really had a lot of misunderstandings in my marriage and within myself, and I'm going to work very hard to turn this around. So wonderful. I was excited for her, and there was nothing better for me than to see somebody who wanted to save a 20-year marriage, which was very important and sacred and a very large part of Rose's life. And there was no better news for me than to hear that she was going to make a huge effort to change the marriage. So Rose walked out of the office, and I wished her the best, and you can only hope that people adhere to what they heard in their hypnosis recordings, and you hope that they follow through and they end up, in a great place later on. So about 6 months later, Rose sent me an email and she thanked me. She said the QHHT session was fundamental. It had shown her things that she didn't understand. And she said after she had listened to her recording for 3 or 4 weeks, she said she really felt a deep motion that she had to make big changes. So she said she did. She said the relationship in 6 months had really come together. They talked out a lot of things. There was a lot more communication. The physical intimacy started coming back. And she said she actually felt a new love for Joe that she had never felt before. And she said it was hypnosis that really brought her back to reminding her of why she loved Joe so much from the first day she met him. So they were so excited and they were so happy that they were planning a second honeymoon in Paris, France. And for a practitioner like myself, almost want to tear up. That's why we do this work. So bringing people back together, people coming back and understanding the value of their relationships can be the most rewarding and most fundamental satisfaction in this work that we do. So I bid you adieu. I hope you sign up and get a QHHT session. It's unreal what this work can do. When you're working in the theta state of the brain, it's the healing part of our emotional states. It's where the real work happens. And it's a wonderful acceleration into figuring things out and moving you forward into a very happy future. If you'd like to book a session with me in Toronto, just click on the link below where you can look on my calendar, and I would love to have a session with you. Thanks very much and have a wonderful day.